Hello and welcome to the Kids in Comedy graduation show. Give yourself a round of applause for making it to your device. We did it. My name is Nick. I'll be your host. I was also the teacher for this session. Very happy to be hosting for this group of kids. This is our advanced class. We do this on Thursdays. The performers that you're going to see in this show have done this program for a while. They've excelled to a certain extent. We offered them a class that just sort of featured kids who wrote at this level and performed at this level. And we've been making it work all through the COVID era of Kids in Comedy, which I do believe we are past the year mark of doing Zoom Kids in Comedy classes. And it's been a wild ride, but I say very successful. You can actually check out the YouTube account for Kids in Comedy. You can watch some of the pro shows that have been posted up there, some clips of some of our comedians. Actually, some of the kids that you'll see today, you'll probably be able to see older material on that YouTube account. So make sure that you sub our YouTube. And if you're watching YouTube live, make sure you hit up that chat. Blow the chat up. Spam it, folks. It could only help us. But be clean. This is a Kids in Comedy show. As I said before, my name is Nick. I'm the host. I've helped along the writing and the performing for the performers that you're about to see in a few minutes. I was talking about this with my assistant Emma before the show about how, like, you know, I'm realizing that we're going to get vaccinated pretty soon, and some of you may be fully vaxxed already, and congratulations. So I may actually have to perform in real life at some point, and I'm unsure that I'm that comfortable with it. I did not perform at all in a real venue other than this venue right here for about a year. And it is a little scary, you know, to think about it. I am excited to see, but I'm also like, have I gotten bad habits, you know, from just performing in this little box for a year? I do think that I'm going to be happy that when I'm actually performing in like a club or a theater and not in my home, that I like just won't be like surrounded by, like, I have like 16 pairs of headphones here. This isn't normal for when I'm normally performing. The amount of wires that I have, like, you don't see it. Like literally this, it looks like, be honest, this looks like I'm performing in like a $25,000 studio, right? Be honest. Okay, look at that globe. Pretty sick. Look at those cows. You know, am I going to be able to perform without my cows flanking me? Nobody knows, you know. I mean, there's other things that I feel like I won't be able to get by without. Like, I always need like a 55-ounce cold brew, like, at my side. But also, I need a seltzer. I need two beverages, which would seem pretty crazy in real life if you saw a guy at my level with multiple beverages, like I'm Robin Williams or something like that. Also, like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to perform without my Mickey Mouse figurine that's like always right here. And then also my Patrick Ewing, which is always right here. I always kind of like to have Patrick Ewing sort of dunking on Mickey. I feel like that's my Space Jam, to be honest. If we can all be honest here. Also, like, I'm not too sure if I'm going to ever be comfortable without always having my VHS copy of How to Do the Macarena, which is a VHS that I earned this year by picking through people's trash. Am I ever going to be able to feel comfortable without my VHS copy of How to Dance the Macarena by my side? I don't know. But we're going to try, you know. I've been locked up in my house for a very long time. I have a wonderful fiance, but my favorite cellmate, podmate, as I would say, is definitely my cat. And my fiance is not going to watch this, so it's safe to say. We adopted a cat like 2 years ago, and she was a kitten then, and I was very excited. Brought the kitten home. Then I Googled, because I'm crazy, lifespan of a kitten, and 18 years. 18 years. I know, that's too long. I didn't think it was going to be that long. That is too long of a commitment. I had no idea she'd be living for 18 years. I didn't think I'd be alive for another 18 years, so I'm not too sure how that's going to work out. But I do love her, and I don't know whether it's just me, like, just feeling love for my cat, or if it's the fact that cat, I don't know if you know, this is a true fact. Cat poop, there's a parasite that sometimes becomes activated. And to like 50% of human brains who come into contact with it, it can affect your brain. And I think honestly, being just like in quarantine with my cat for so long, like I think I am sort of affected by it because I find myself every time I pass my cat, I'm compelled to scoop her up and go, "You're such a good baby. This is a baby right here. I love my baby. I love my ow, claws, claws, claws." That's pretty much every single day in my pod. I love my cat. Cats are cool because they're chill. I like chill animals. Dogs, not so chill. I grew up with dogs, not so chill. Very, very needy. My cat has no chill though when she wants literally anything, and that's food. Um, Quite often, I will sort of be sleeping and be very early in the morning, and then I wake up and what I feel like is happening is I've been abducted by aliens, and I'm on like the autopsy table, and like somebody is studying me. But then I quickly realized that my cat is just sitting on my chest, breathing directly into my mouth, and I'm like, well, I get you want food, okay? I understand that. But please, maybe go about it in a different way, Mrs. Muffets. That's not her name. It is a cool name, Mrs. Muffets. My cat's name is Lily. Came with a name. Came with the name Lily. Felt weird about changing it, even though cats don't respond to literally anything. But for some reason, I was like, she's been Lily for like 9 months. I guess this is Lily. And then when we like got her and like brought her to some place, they asked, what's your cat's name? And we said Lily. And then the person said, that's my name. And that was way more awkward than it should have been. We all sort of looked around like, should you change your name? I don't know. I'm just not comfortable with this because pets with human names are odd a little bit. You ever meet a dog with your name? It's kind of weird, you know? It used to happen to me all the time. I had to change my name, and I'll never forgive my parents for naming me Airbud. There you go. That was a straight punchline from an act. I also have like a little machine that I can make my voice sound cooler than it actually is. I don't know how I'm going to live without these things. I hope that one thing continues with kind of getting out of quarantine, which I assume will happen at some point. And that's I've been reading a lot lately. I've been reading books, and I'm happy to read a book now. I don't feel like it's homework every single time I pick up a book or buy one. So I've been reading a lot of biographies. I enjoy biographies. I think they're fun. Although sometimes when I'm reading a biography, I think like, why is this author like Winston Churchill so much? Like in the middle, and it's like on and on and on. Churchill this, Churchill that. There are other people on the planet, you know. If you like Churchill so much, why don't you marry him? But what if the author did like marry Winston Churchill in this book that I'm reading? Like I'm only halfway through. There's so much book left, and that would be like honestly a very fun twist. You know, like he reveals it at like the very last page. I met Winston Churchill in a Holiday Inn just outside of Kansas City. We fell in love and were married in a fancy gazebo in Aruba that following year. The end. It's like, whoa, plot twist. Very fun. I like biographies. I think my favorite are unauthorized biographies. They're kind of interesting, you know? It basically means, this stuff probably isn't real, but you read it in a book so you can tell your friends that it is. You know, that's the law. The unauthorized biography of Winston Churchill, Chapter 1. Winston was born in Portland, Oregon, December 71st, 1991. The son of a skateboard maker, Winston was raised on the half pipe. It was at his local skate shop / juice bar that Winston met the love of his life, Cardi B. Sadly, on June 57, 2011, Winston choked on a Pop-Tart and died in the bathroom of a Holiday Inn just outside Kansas City. It was there I met the corpse of Winston Churchill. We fell in love and got married in a fancy gazebo in Aruba later that year. The end. Folks, that's the end of my set. I hope you enjoyed it. We have such a show for you today. So sit back, keep eating the apple in your hand, and or a cookie, I'm guessing. But make sure that you don't leave your device, because every single one of these comedians is fantastic. And we are going to start this show off strong, folks. Your first comedian for the evening is wonderful. Give it up for Leah Breakstone, everybody. It's
Thank
Leah. Keep it
you.
going for Leah.
So I have two dogs, a 1-year-old Aussie Mountain Doodle named Yogi Bear and an 11-year-old cockapoo named Fozzie Bear. They are extremely spoiled, specifically by my parents. Now, my parents really did not want dogs. My sister did. We now have two dogs. Before we had Fozzie or Yogi, my parents would always give us the whole spiel about how they were going to be so strict with rules for the dogs. And these rules are still enforced, like to an extent. For example, Fozzie and Yogi are only allowed to sit in chairs with us at the dinner table and eat with us when we allow it, or specifically when my dad is in a good mood, which really only happens when he reaches his Apple Watch stepping goal for the day. It's a privilege they have to earn, and they know that they can only come when they're invited. I do understand that this sounds psychotic, and I just want to assure you that it is exactly how you would picture it. I'm just going to put this out there. I resent my dogs. There's definitely a double standard when it comes to expectations for me versus the expectations for the dogs. For example, there is absolutely no food allowed in the living room. Like, God forbid I were to eat a single pretzel, I would literally be disowned. But like, it's totally fine for my dogs to drag their disgusting bowls onto the carpet and then like throw up the carrots they ate yesterday. Like, no problem. When I come downstairs in my pajamas at 2 p.m. for breakfast while my parents are on Zoom calls, I'm considered needy and a disgrace. But it's totally fine for my dogs to like bark and interrupt all the Zoom calls. Like, it's cute. Apparently, the dogs are definitely a more valued commodity in this household than I am. And to be honest, I kind of get it. Like, they do bring in more income than I do. You see, my dogs are social media influencers, or as I like to call it, pawfluencers. They have a pretty large fan base on their Instagram and they're quite successful. They get a lot of brand deals, modeling opportunities, commercials, etc. I know they're powerful because LL Bean has commented on their post. Whenever I go to check to see if I've gotten any packages, there's always like an enormous stack addressed to Fozzie and Yogi Bear. And then there's nothing for me, which kind of stings a little bit. Like, LL Bean couldn't have just slipped in an adult size complimentary sweatshirt with those matching dog jackets. Okay. Fozzie and Yogi definitely have the attitudes of influencers, which is really evident through their Instagram posts. I may be little, but I conquered this mountain easily. My humans told me I'm the cutest view around with my furry paws apparel bandana. Use my code FOZZIE15 for 15% off your order and we can be twins. Hashtag girlboss. Hashtag entrepreneur. Hashtag the patriarchy is dead. I have to say, I'm a little bit jealous because they do have more followers than I do. It's actually pretty hard living in the shadows of your dogs. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And I've come to the conclusion that I think that the best solution is to just try and cancel them a little bit, turn their fan base against them, just to level the playing field a little bit. Fozzie, we all saw you humping the housekeeper. There will be no affairs taking place in this household. Yogi, why do you always try and attack children? Are you intimidated or just ageist? And both of you, why are you not more philanthropic? Based on the sponsorships you get, it's clear you're in the top 1% of the dog economy, and yet I've never seen you advertise your charity work. Instead, you're busy spending your money bidding on set pieces for Marley and me. Get your privilege in check. There's a chance this might not be a good idea, though, because we don't really have a great relationship to start. They kind of have a restraining order filed against me. Like, every time I get within a 10-foot radius, they just try and immediately attack me. You know what? I think we need group therapy. To be honest, I think it'd be kind of fun. So, Yogi, what would you like to say to Leah? I just don't feel heard in this relationship. Really, Yogi? Because I hear you loud and clear every time you howl when I try to take a math test. Okay, what about you, Fozzie? Why do you keep forcing me to wear jackets out of the house? I'm an animal. I know you think I feel confident, but I don't. Do you know what it feels like to be the butt of every joke at the dog park? Hold it, you guys. You need to watch what you're saying right now because I'm the one that feeds you. Without me, you're nothing since you have no thumbs or ability to grip dog bowls. Anyway, I'm really hoping we can try and salvage this relationship because I actually am really relying on the revenue that they bring in to pay for my college tuition. So everyone kind of has that local coffee shop that they go to and they're a regular at. I don't have that, but I do have something that's very similar and kind of gives off similar vibes. So it's LabCorp. Now, LabCorp is not a coffee shop, but it is a medical testing facility. I know what you're probably thinking. Why are you a frequent flyer at LabCorp? It could be medical reasons, or it could just be that I was a vampire in my past life. Anyway, local coffee shops and LabCorps are both definitely holes in the wall. Your local LabCorp is likely located at the end of a very dark and long alleyway. A lot of times you'd find people on dates at coffee shops. And I definitely invite someone to on a date at LabCorp because I'd know I'd have time since the wait is always 2 hours long, even if you have an appointment. I actually did bring a date to LabCorp once. It didn't go so well because it turns out that the dude had a phobia of needles. Or actually, that might have just been what he said to be able to leave early from the date. Now that I'm thinking about it, putting two and two together, I don't know. I also love how they're both just such casual atmospheres. Like after my 2 hour long wait, the singular person working there is just like, go put your sample by the sink. The sink happens to be the bathroom sink, which also houses an array of other unlabeled urine and blood samples that all look exactly the same. What could possibly go wrong? Even if you're a regular at your local coffee shop, it's still always a gamble of whether or not you'll get what you ordered. And the same is true for LabCorp. There's always a 50-50 chance that I will actually ever receive my results. For all I know, I could be living with the diagnosis of that guy who put his urine sample right next to mine by the sink. I'm not sure. If I feel like I'm not experiencing enough anxiety on a certain day, I could just go to my local coffee shop, fumble with my wallet a little bit, hold up the entire line. Or I could just go to LabCorp and sit with a needle in my vein while being told, wow, this is a lot of blood. I've never taken this much blood from somebody before. Gee, thanks. If you're dissatisfied with your coffee, you can always leave a passive aggressive Yelp review. And luckily, you can do the same for LabCorp. LabCorp has a whopping 1-star review. Some of my favorite reviews include what nightmares are made of. Of course, the show on the TV in the waiting room is The View, who think they know it all. Dude with 7-finger only. There's always other local coffee shops, but for some reason you keep going back to the same one. And sure, there are other options for getting labs, but there's just something about the immense stress and yet really casual ambiance of LabCorp that I find addicting. I wonder if there's like a punch card that I can sign up for, like a rewards program, anything like that. I'm not really sure, but if any of you guys know, like, please let me know. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, give it up for Leah. Getting her punch card over at LabCorp, a place that I pass on the highway sometimes, and it scares me. Just you'd think they would come up with, for such a creepy business, come up with a more fun name. That would be my opinion. LabCorp. Isn't it one word? Oh, creepy. But one more time for Leah, everybody. Fantastic set. So funny. So great. We have the fantasticness to keep moving to. That did not make any sense, but I tried to save it midway through. We have the fantasticness to keep moving to or through. Folks, your next comedian is wonderful, hilarious, great, the whole shebang. Give it up for Ellis Faye. It's Ellis, everybody. Keep it going.
Hey everybody. So I've been thinking a lot about like cis het normativity lately, the fun stuff. And I've been like single-handedly trying to make the world seem like a little less cis het normative, just so I don't feel so alone and so other people don't have to feel so alone either. And that's like my guilt tripping way of telling people that I'm like obnoxiously gay, just so like they'll feel a little bad for me before just being annoyed by me. Yeah, I do it all. I use they them pronouns because there's no better way than saying you're annoyingly gay than using they them pronouns. And I will turn anything queer. I give inanimate objects pronouns and gender identities. Like over here, this is my favorite pen. He's trans mask, uses he him pronouns. One of my favorite ways to push the gay agenda is by looking at characters and just like trying my very hardest to turn them queer in some way or another. Like Ivy and Bean. Has anybody ever read those books? It's this book series about these two girls who live in this suburban town. They're super cute. They go on adventures. But I do have some theories about them, and you'll never guess, but I think that Ivy and Bean are girlfriends. They're dating one another, and I don't even want to say like girlfriends because I'm positive that Bean is non-binary. Because I mean, like, what cisgender person is given the name Bean at birth? It just doesn't make sense. And Ivy, without a doubt, she's a lesbian. That one's more about the vibes, though. And it's not just like characters or people I force to be gay. It can be literally anything. I mean, places, events, colors, sounds. Anything can be queer if you really put your mind to it. Lately, I've been turning shapes queer, which has been really fun. Here are some of my thoughts, just letting you know I will give zero explanation for any of them. So squares, he's pansexual, uses he, they pronouns. Rhombuses, non-binary, she, they. And she wears like these like strawberry print dresses, like classic rhombus. Trapezoids, bisexual, uses it, he. Oh my god, and it uses like it has these like huge glasses. It's like hilarious. You have to see the picture in my head. Circle is gay, but in like a Yas Queen way, if you know what I mean. Parallelograms, she, her, unlabeled, but a little bit in denial. Like she acts like she doesn't care, but she definitely does. Triangles, isosceles. Isosceles are bisexual. Equilaterals, on the other hand, are pan. And hexagons are straight. Not even I can turn a hexagon gay. He has like normal on his Instagram bio. I mean, like, think of all those edges. Like, even literally, he's straight. The only thing I hate more than homophobic hexagons is Trader Joe's. I really, really hate Trader Joe's. And I hate how much people don't hate it. I think it's has some kind of like essence of like health food store. So it gets away with a lot of stuff because it's marketed with an attitude that feels like, don't go one of those stupid markets for dumb, ugly people who don't care what they're putting in their bodies. Come to us. All of our packages have little avocado puns. So you can feel like you're one-upping everyone else, even when you're buying the exact same stuff. But some people really buy into that and they love Trader Joe's. The way people who like love Trader Joe's talks about it like scares me so much. You've seen it before, like their eyes glass over, they start praising the Trader Joe himself. I don't even get why people like it. Like, have you ever been inside of a Trader Joe's? The tension like practically chokes you. It's just filled with a bunch of like middle-aged women all searching for the same out of stock hummus dip. And I have never had fun at a Trader Joe's. I don't know why people swear by it. Like the energy in a key food, far superior. Branch out. You've never seen true love until you've seen the way that my grandmother talks about Trader Joe's. She calls it her wife, despite the fact that she's a straight woman who's been married to the same man for like 50 years easy. I've seen her be homophobic to like actual gay people, but as soon as Trader Joe's comes up, it's all love is love, hashtag pride. I voted for Pete Buttigieg. Throw some Lady Gaga Oreos in the cart, would you? Also, my ex works at Trader Joe's in Staten Island, the one I'm forced to go to. So every time I go, I see her. And it's never like just make quick eye contact, maybe a wave hello. It's always that I bump into her, knock all the stuff out of her hands. That did actually happen once. And you have no idea what it's like to like go through a rom-com moment in real life. But I didn't end up like getting the girl back. We just very, very awkwardly apologized, and I had ended up at home in my room stuffing my face with citrus flavored JoJo's. So on top of being forced to go into the hell that is Trader Joe's, I have to see my ex somehow in the most awkward way possible every time. However, I do have to admit it is pretty satisfying to see her in those like stupid Hawaiian shirts they make everyone wear. Oh, it's like sucks there. Um, and not just because my ex works there. I kind of ended on a weird note. Well, my grandma is excited for the pandemic to be over so she can go to TJ's guilt free. I'm actually not ready for it to be over yet. And I know that makes me sound like a horrible, awful person. I don't mean to sound like that. But while I'm sure everyone's like so excited to like go back to normal, I'm not that excited to like see my slightly racist family in person, go to a restaurant so I can once again experience the joy of having other people watch me eat. I can really only say that I do really miss one thing from the pre-pandemic world, but it's super dumb. I miss when my friend and I would sit in the library at our school and read these blurbs from this like obscure off-brand horror book series. It's a very specific feeling, but honestly, that's what I miss the most because these books they were pure gold. They were trying to be like in the same realm as like the Goosebumps series, except they were even worse. Like, how do you rip off something that's already bad? They were all set in this small town called like Normalville, and every book focused on one kid in the town who would have to save all of humanity. Except it wouldn't be some like regular old horror book series monster, but it wouldn't be like zombies or werewolves. It would be like really specific, out of the box kind of monsters. One of them was called like the Zit monster, and the blurb went something like this: Katie was having a rough time in school ever since her dad left. Oh wait, pausing the blurb for a second. Like every single kid in this town, like their dad was not good. Like I know dads aren't always the best, but these like took bad dad to another level. Anyway, back to the blurb. Katie was having a rough time in school ever since her dad left. Not to mention, the school bullies have been worse than ever. Katie thought it couldn't get any worse until she started breaking out. Bad. Little did she know, every zit on her face was actually microscopic aliens that were taking over the town. If Katie doesn't realize how to clear up her skin soon, all of Normalville could be destroyed. Will she be able to save the whole town, or will the aliens take over? It's up to her. Now do you see why I miss reading these blurbs more than anything? And there were like some common themes too. The characters were either boys who were good at sports or girls who were like getting bullied. They covered it all. Representation matters, man. So every time someone asks, like, what are you excited for once the pandemic's over? I'm reminded of Devon, who had to make the perfect shot so he could save Norville from time traveling gremlins, or Susie, who risked it all to save a pack of ice breathing dragons. But when I have to answer, I end up saying something like, oh yeah, like concerts. I so miss concerts. Okay, thank you, everybody. Stay safe and healthy.
Excellent job. Give it up for Ellis, everybody. Fantastic. Hilarious. Give me those books. Find them, send them. I need all of those terrible, terrible books in my life. I need more junk, clearly, as you could tell with the Macarena VHS. I don't have enough junk. I'll tell you what's not junk. This next comedian. Talk about transitions, folks. Your next comedian is so funny. Give it up for Sam Croyne, everybody. It's Sam.
Uh,
Sam.
okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam. I am most definitely not junk. And we had a pretty snowy winter this winter, you know? I remember one time it snowed about 14 inches in one night, which is 13 more inches than it takes to break Texas, apparently. But anyway, this snowstorm is happening, and I'm at dinner with my family. And my mom goes, oh, this is great. We're going to have Hector the Collector come. And I go, who the heck is Hector the Collector? Well, apparently, this guy, he drives the snowplow in all of our neighborhoods, and he's the only guy. And I was very interested in this Hector the Collector character for two reasons. First of all, nobody's ever seen him. He comes late at night. He's like a vigilante. All you get in the morning is a check that says your snow has been collected. So it's very cryptic. Second reason is he's only ever been referred to as Hector the Collector. Never just Hector. With the collector always attached. It's like it was his birth name. And that makes me think, like, are you forced to collect? Like a coin collector or a stamp collector? Does this guy collect snow? And if so, what is his end game? Is he trying to like ultimately sell it, make a profit? I'd be so happy if I just turned on Pawn Stars one time and Hector the Collector was up there like, yeah, I got some high quality snow here. Genuine snow from Mariah Carey's Christmas Spectacular. This one right here, this was an 84, a mid condition, but I think you can make a quick buck off it. Oh, this one right here. This was taken directly from the sternum of Frosty the Snowman. Now, I know that these are currently water, but if you freeze them, I think we could be in business. And the guy at the shop is like, I don't know, I'll have to check in with my buddy who's a snow expert. But anyway, I really got into Hector the Collector. I mean, I was a fan. I wanted to see what it was all about, and I wanted to be the first person to ever see Hector the Collector. So I woke up very early in the morning, 5 a.m., got my phone out, and I was able to get a few clips of Hector the Collector. So please enjoy. You ready? Let's go. Yeah, so I wasn't able to get that much footage, probably because I got in trouble. Apparently, jumping up and down saying, "I found him" at 5 a.m. wakes up your whole family. But anyway, from what I saw, he didn't look that impressive. He just looked like an average snowplow. And if you ask me, he's more like Hector the Pusher, not Hector the Collector, because he just pushes everything to the side for us to have and come collect later in the day. But you know what? They might call him Hector the Collector because he is collecting those checks. He's always on time to pick up the bill. Which makes me think maybe he's just cornered the market. Maybe all this mythos surrounding Hector the Collector is because there's no competition. So maybe when I get older, I'll get a plow license, insist on calling myself Sam the Collector, and give this guy a run for his money. So, it's a digital age, and everyone has all the filters on their phone and their computer and stuff. And, it's fun, but I've been kind of having a problem with one of the filters. I've been having a problem with the beautification filter. It's like the one where you kind of put it on and it gets rid of all your blemishes, your pimples and stuff. The problem is I was using it way too much. I started to think that was how I really looked. I'd look at myself in the filter and I say, this guy I like. I bet this guy remembers to turn off the kitchen lights before he goes to bed. But I was so into myself like that. I really thought that was what I looked like. But one day I was just walking past the mirror and I saw my actual face and I was like, what is this? Why do I have all this stuff on my face? And no, I remembered, oh my God, this is actually my face. And I realized, oh my God, I just catfished myself. And for those of you who don't know what catfishing is, it's basically when you're on a dating app and somebody's profile looks like a certain way, but they look nothing like their profile in real life. Sidebar, I know that catfishing is like it's because the catfish doesn't look anything like a cat, and that's a surprise. But who was the first person to name a catfish? Who was the first guy to look at this thing and say, yes, that is a cat. That is a cat if I've ever seen one before. But anyway, sidebar over. I think that the way I catfished myself is actually worse than getting catfished in real life. Because, the way I found out was so sudden. In real life, if you're getting catfished, you're kind of coming to the restaurant, you look at the back of the person, say, oh, they kind of look different from the back than their profile. You start turning, you say, oh, they need to shave their arms a little bit. Turn all the way, oh, it's a guy named Gary. But for me, it was right away, instantaneous, boom, boom, blemishes, pimples, all the whole deal. And at least when you're getting catfished in real life, so what? It's Gary. You can just leave, you can go home, you never see him again. But for me, the problem here is I can't leave my face. This is my face forever, and I have to deal with it. So, I've been trying to find ways to keep the filter on permanently, and I found this thing called makeup, and it's pretty great, so I'm going to have to go check that out a little bit more after this. So, yeah, it was winter, but now it's springtime, which means, yay, allergies. One of my friends named Henry, he's allergic to peanuts. And, he's been going through this strength training, like a resistance build-up to peanuts thing, where he tries to eat more and more peanuts every time. And, if he's fine, success. If he throws up, less of a success. But he's on 1/32 of a peanut now, so he's starting to build up resistance. But what it's making me think of is, why as a society are we still eating peanuts and peanut butter? It hurts like 50% of us. For some people, it's so deadly that you don't even have to eat it to get hurt by it. You just have to be in the vicinity. And, at least a bullet has to hit you to hurt you. I mean, this peanut butter thing is airborne. You think the masks are for COVID? You're wrong. But these companies that sell the peanuts, they don't seem to think there's a problem. They actually think that it's good that they're selling a deadly bioweapon. They try to actually make their packaging charming. You get that little Mr. Peanut with his monocle and his top hat. But I bet for people who are allergic to peanuts, it's the worst thing ever. I bet they think that guy's evil. Imagine you're having an allergic reaction, you look up, and the last thing you see is that peanut guy going, you are a hard nut to crack. I'd be very scared. And, peanuts can take out 75% of my social circle, yet I can still buy them at the supermarket. And people don't care. People continue to eat it. They even created sun butter, which is peanut butter's less cool cousin, for people who are allergic to get the chance to try it. Sun butter is kind of a non-allergenic version where it's sunflower seeds instead of peanuts. And sun butter sucks. It's like the Yeezus of Kanye's albums. Some claim that it's just controversial, but deep down everyone knows it just sucks. All right, guys, I've been Sam. Thank you so much.
Keep it going for Sam. Taking it to Mr. Peanut. How dare Mr. Peanut? Remember when everybody was like, wow, Baby Nut might be the biggest thing to happen in 2020? That was really a nice time when we all could just hate on Baby Nut together before the world imploded. Folks, one more time for Sam. Wonderful, hilarious, good stuff. A couple more comedians for you. We're going to keep the show rolling with another fantastically funny person. You're going to love her set. Give it up for Saskia Penning, everybody. Keep it going for Saskia.
So my mom recently bought the movie Sophie's Choice for us to watch together. And then like at the end of every day we'd be like, no, it's just too depressing. We can't handle it. So that didn't really work out. But it did kind of get me started thinking about this like Sophie's Choice premise, like the famous premise, like the mom has like two kids and she has to pick one to live and one to die, like typical morbid teenage thoughts. But I was thinking about it because like if I was ever in that situation, I'm a super indecisive person. So I think I'd have to do a few things differently from how Sophie did them. Like, first of all, I feel like these kids should be involved at least a little bit in the decision, right? Like, it is their lives at stake. It's not me. They should have some say. So, like, maybe I could have them do like game of rock, paper, scissors, maybe flip a coin or something fun for the kids. It might be the last thing they ever do after all. But if I really want to get like into the decision, like make sure I'm picking the best one, I might have to like hold a few like friendly competitions, maybe run some endurance tests, like have them run in laps right there in the gulag. I just want to make sure I'm picking the strongest one, right? Like most likely to survive. Like if you're tired too damn bad, the more tired you are, the more likely it is you'll live to see tomorrow. That's just how it is. And I could even like kind of like let them make a case for themselves too. I could be like, all right, Tommy, 2 minutes on the clock in, go. And Tommy would be like, all right, well, I'll write you the best Mother's Day cards every year, I promise. And I'll be like, well, I'll consider it. Also, side note on that, like, think about how unfortunate it is that Sophie didn't know about the choice like beforehand. Cause, like, yeah, like, whatever. She could have like saved her kids' lives and like helped them escape, blah, blah, blah. But think about how useful it would be to like get her kids to do what she wants. Cause, like, if one of them's like making a mess or something, she could be like, I might have to make my choice tonight. Like, today might finally be the day. This is, definitely going to be impacting my decision. She could even do it like when she actually is making the choice too. Like she could be like, I don't know, Tommy, remember last week when you stepped on the back of my shoes while we were walking? Yeah, definitely, going to be taking that into consideration. It'd be nice to put a stop to that once and for all. And then either, whichever way she chooses, she's getting rid of the problem, right? One thing I am sure of though, like super sure, is that I'm really happy my mom is never gonna have to make that decision because I know who she'd pick to live, and I know damn well it would not be me. Like it wouldn't even be Sophie's choice at that point anymore. It'd be like Maria's easy decision. And like the evil guy would come up here and be like, all right, you have to like this is gonna be the worst choice you ever have to make in your life, like any mother's nightmare. You have to pick one kid to live and the other one dies. Not Saskia. Not Saskia. No, just not Saskia. I don't even care who the other one is, just not Saskia. And he's like, all right, well, you're kind of taking all the fun out of it. Like, you sure you don't maybe want to take a little bit more time? No, not Saskia. No takebacks though, right? Like that would totally be unfair. Something else about me, I guess, besides my morbid thoughts is I've lived in New York City my whole life. I like grew up here and like I guess it's like good for all the reasons you would think, but there's one thing that really sucks about growing up in New York. And it's that I can't blame my problems on where I live. And like almost every other teenager in America could be like once I get out of this like stupid toxic town, like that's when my life is really gonna start and all my problems are gonna be fixed. And I can't do that. All my problems are my own fault and it's horrible. I hate it. Like what would I even complain about if I was going to like I hate the rich, diverse culture. Like the like exciting nightlife is just the worst. That's definitely the problem, not my lack of motivation at all. Definitely not it. And like I can't even be like this town or whatever, because like what town? Like Midtown, like 33rd Street and 7th Ave. Like that doesn't even have the same ring to it. It sounds stupid. And even if I could, I'd be like, I can still ride the 6 train like 3 stops to like Chinatown. And like it's like I'm in a different world. Like I feel like me taking the train like 15 minutes to Chinatown from where I live is like the equivalent of driving like 30 hours from like Oregon to like Texas or however long it takes. I don't really know where those places are. But yeah. Although it isn't like it's not like all perfect living in New York. Like there are some things like growing up here that aren't perfect. Like I feel like maybe I could be wrong, but I don't think it's everywhere that you can like manage to see like a corpse in the street before you can manage to have your first kiss. Although they are like equally scary, I will give you that. And then like every time I go outside, I have like if someone comes up to me, I have to figure out like really quickly if they're just asking for directions or like challenging me to a duel or something. And I can't even cry outside either because like there's always people around and they could be like watching me and like maybe worst case scenario they even come up to me and like ask what's wrong or like try to comfort me or something awful like that. But I really feel like those are just like character builders, so I can't even really complain and it's just the worst. But yeah, I've lived in New York City my whole life, so something I kind of like to do to like see other places and like switch it up a little is I love to watch House Hunters International. It's like one of my favorite shows. I love it. And there was this episode I saw that like I will never ever ever forget, and it was this couple and they were buying a house in Ireland. And right away there was something like kind of off about them because like in their description in the beginning of the episode it was like Sam is a medieval war historian and I make like authentic realistic dolls with like human hair and dead eyes and our budget is $1 million. So right away I was like blown away. I was like I had no idea there was so much money in those industries. But they were buying a castle, like a castle in Ireland, and the realtor like did it. He found them a castle for like it was like on budget and it was like medieval and it was so cool. When I tell you these people bought ruins, they bought ruins. They had like the choice of a gorgeous castle and they like bought the remains of a house fire from like 1924. I just don't get it. They spent like $1 million of their hard-earned, like authentic human doll medieval money on like three half walls. Like not even the fireplace was still intact. I can't even understand it. And then like when they went back for their like check-in to like see how they're doing at the end of the episode and see how they're moving in, they were sleeping like with children outside in tents in the like rainy Irish weather, like in between their like $1 million ruins, like their bricks. I don't know. It's like ingrained on my mind forever. But like those kinds of episodes, like the crazy episodes, those aren't even the best part of House Hunters. The best part of House Hunters, hands down, is the couples. Like they're just so interesting because like somehow the overwhelming majority of couples on House Hunters are already like teetering on the edge of like destruction. And like buying a house is like generally one of the most stressful things that two people can like ever do together. So like once you put those two things together, it's just like top quality entertainment. It's the best. And like once you get really good at watching it too, like I am, of course, you can just like look at a couple and know exactly how long they're going to be together and exactly how much the divorce is going to cost. And I don't know if they like search these couples out on purpose or like kind of already hate each other or if it's just a coincidence, but like it makes all the difference. It really does. And one of my like favorite things about the couples is that someone always wins and someone always loses. And like I know you're not supposed to think about it that way and like it's not a competition, but it is though. And like at the end of the episode, someone always gets their way and like what they want. And someone's always like won over, which is just like a better way of saying they're gonna hold a grudge against the other partner for like the rest of their lives. I like the European house hunters a lot better than the American ones because they're just like more interesting. Like they have that zest to them. Like the American house hunters, a couple always come on and be like, we want 7 bedrooms and an indoor and an outdoor pool and a huge basement to like hold all of our victims. And I want to be able to live in this house without ever having to like have any kind of contact with my husband ever. And the realtor is like, okay, well, actually, I have the perfect place just around the corner, and it is also under budget because this is Texas and nothing makes sense, and it's just boring. But the European house hunters, the couples are like, we would love like a bathroom, like that'd be great. And maybe if we could have 2 windows instead of one, we'd love that. And then also, we are simultaneously running like a children's orphanage and a bed and breakfast, like at the same time. So any extra space would be great. And the realtor guy's like, I will do my best, but do not get your hopes up. I will try. And it's just so funny. I love it. And also I think like the realtors honestly like kind of make the biggest difference in the end because like the American realtors are so like accommodating and like friendly and they were like 3-piece suits and they always like somehow manage to look like at least one of your parents, if not both. And it's just boring. But like the European realtors are just like crazy. Like they like dress and act like you're like eccentric aunt or uncle that like the whole family tries to avoid, and they have these like super thick European accents that they could totally get rid of if they wanted to, but of course they don't, and it's a choice, and they're so blunt and rude, but it's the best thing ever, and it like makes the show. It's so entertaining. That is my set. Thank you.
Give it up for Saskia. Loving those house hunting shows. I agree. It's a lot of fun. We have one more comedian for this show. She's fantastic. She's funny. She's great. She's about to close our show off. Give it up for the wonderful Petra Popper Friedman.
Hey guys. Thank you for staying through. I hope you've been enjoying the show. Before I start in earnest, I have a quick thing I need to get off my chest. It won't take long. I do not believe that the viola da gamba exists. And I know that most of you agree with me because you've never heard of a viola da gamba, so I'm going to back up for a second. The viola da gamba is an alleged instrument that was played during the Renaissance in Western Europe, and it's been described by historians as viola-like or like a predecessor to the viola. And when I heard this a few years ago, I asked my music teacher at the time, what was the difference then between a viola and a viola da gamba? And according to this man, he said it's very simple. A viola da gamba is like a viola, but bigger. Sir, do you mean a cello? Here's my beef with this. Stay with me. Okay, we already define violas in relation to the size of other instruments, right? What is a viola but a large violin or a small cello? And now we are adding in a fourth factor, which is bigger than the thing that is bigger than a violin, but smaller than the thing that is bigger than the thing that is smaller than a cello. And none of these things are basses. And I think that it is all a ruse to sell more alto clefs, which is a punchline that will apply to exactly 2 people in the audience. And I hope that they enjoyed it. Anyway, enough about that. That was more for me than for you. Clearly I have some niche interests. I went through a sailing phase a few years ago. I did this summer camp probably 3 years ago where we were sailing on the Hudson, which is actually interestingly one of the best places in the world to learn how to sail, as it turns out, because the water is so unbelievably disgusting that you will kind of do anything not to capsize. So the learning curve is very quick. It's like, what's the phrase? Experience is a great teacher, but the best teacher is fear of getting staph infection from the water. So the way that they set it up was that in the morning, they would have like the boat school part of it where they taught you about the parts of the boat. So the jib and the other jibs, I don't remember. And then in the afternoon was when you were doing the practical part of actually sailing. And that was a lot more fun. So that was like, you'd have 3 kids and then 1 counselor to a boat. And the only kid that I remember was this kid, I think his name was Montana. Like his parents were into geography or wanted him to sound like an amateur country star. I don't know what the deal was. But anyway, his name was Montana. And I remember him for 2 reasons. Number 1, because his name was Montana. Like that's the name that like you give to the male protagonist in like a YA novel. And he's like, you new here? I'm Montana. And then 3 chapters later, to show emotional vulnerability, he reveals his name is something stupid like Quentin. And you're like, okay, Quentin. It's not relevant. This kid's name was Montana. The other reason I remember him is that one day we were sailing, trying to avoid like hitting the 5-legged fish. And I asked him to do something. I said, can you jib the jib so you can jib? You jib me. And he did it wrong. He like jibed the jab or jobed the job. And he felt embarrassed about it. So to defend himself, he said, listen, I'm nervous. I've never been on a boat with a sexy girl before. And I said, oh my God, that is really kind. Thank you. Which was a weird reaction for a couple reasons, chief among them because his name was Montana. And listen, I get that sometimes parents name their kids after states, like Indiana Jones, who is fictional, or people named Dakota, who are the worst, but this kid's name was Montana. And the other reason it was weird, and likely the more important one, is that I am a lesbian and did fully know this at the time. I was not interested in him. But I think as a girl, you're so told to seek male validation that kind of regardless of the circumstances, like biologically you start doing this, even if you're really uncomfortable because you're a lesbian and he's a gross 8th grade boy and you're in the middle of a Hudson and there's a counselor a foot away because it's a boat and there's not that much room on a boat and his name is Montana, which implies that somewhere in the continental US there is a nurse and or doctor who saw 2 parents write Montana on a birth certificate and said nothing. Anyway, I think about him sometimes. offhandedly. And I do wonder what our lives would have been like if we'd gone sailing the world together with our 2 children, Wisconsin and Delaware. Speaking of young love, recently I've been watching some rom-coms while stuck in the house. It's a lot of fun. I really like the ones that are like the friends to lovers trope. I noticed that in those, there's always a moment where, to kind of prove his devotion to the girl, the guy will give this big speech that's essentially just him kind of like listing facts about her. So he'll be like, Kimberly, I know you're engaged to the manager of your hedge fund, but does he know that your feet get cold at night? And does he know that you have a scar on your knee because you're quirky? And does he know that your favorite meal is a baked potato you once had on the Amtrak because you're like really no joke quirky? And then she's without a doubt always blown away by this. She's like, she starts doing this and she's like, oh my God, you remember facts about me? A person that you have known for like 10 to 15 years? That is incredible. And they like run away together. And I was thinking about it and I was like, what if you were in that position of the guy making this grand speech, but you didn't have the memory for it? So like all the passion is there, just not the attention to detail. And I wrote a song about it. I'm not just sitting here for fun. And it is called I Love You and All the Things You Are, parentheses, some of which I may have forgotten. I don't recall you were wearing at all. How smart you are. See your shirt, probably princess. You're a person with interests I'd love to acknowledge. You have a college at this time.
Hey, Petra? Petra? If you can hear me, you're gone. Hey, Petra, I'm sorry, but you glitched out right when you started singing, okay?
All right.
So I want to make sure that everybody can hear the finish of your set, obviously. So I think maybe, is it okay if we kind of reset Petra and possibly maybe I don't know, is there a Wi-Fi situation that you can quickly change or not? We can just try again.
The wire just fell out, so it should be all good.
Oh, the wire fell out. Thank God. That is my favorite. By the way, it's the only thing I'll be thanking God for today, I promise. Love when a wire falls out because you can put the wire back in. I get it. All right. Let's do this again. Petra, take it away.
All right. So I was talking about rom-coms. All of this to say, in the friends to lovers rom-coms, there's often a moment where the guy makes this big speech. And I was thinking about what it would be like if you were trying to make that speech, impressing the girl with all of your knowledge, but you didn't have a memory of any of it. You know, you're a little bit hazy when it comes to that department. So like the passion is there, just not the attention to detail. And I've called it I Love You and All the Things You Are, parentheses, some of which I may have forgotten. I have loved you since we were in 3rd grade. We met at recess, sitting in the shade. And while I don't recall what you were wearing at all, I remember how smart you seemed. You were 9, so your shirt was probably princess themed. You're a person with interests I'd love to acknowledge. You have a favorite movie, you went to a college. At this exact moment, feeling kind of put on the spot. I know I love you, just the rest I kind of forgot. Does your fiance know that your hair is brown? That's a bad example, I'm nervous. Okay, well, does he know that you sometimes travel uptown? Presumably, I should have spent more time on research and not just the rhyme. But like writing romantic songs is like difficult, and now I ruined the rhyme scheme. You're a person with hobbies, or at least I assume. We won't sweat the small stuff when we dance as bride and groom. And currently it looks like I don't seem to know you at all. I promise I love you and your love of basketball. Baseball, I knew that. Your presence makes me dazed. Yes, love makes me foolish. But even in my craze, I remember I feel like you're Jewish. Okay, well, your name's Rebecca, so it was a solid guess, that's all. And I promise I'll love you forever. So what if I don't recall your dog's name or your middle name or my mom's name? Maybe this problem runs deeper. Thought I was an observant, this is straight up amnesia. Oh, but I swear I'm a keeper. There's a lot that I don't seem to know, like what day it is or since when I've played the piano. The literal only thing left in my brain, like the actual only thing I neurologically retain. The single fact that's left to me, it's true, is that I don't know where I am. And I love you. That's my set. Thank you for bearing with my Wi-Fi. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Have a good night.
Yes, Petra. One more time for Petra. We came through it. Sometimes these tech issues can knock you out of the box. Not this crew. Too tough for that. Folks, that has been the show. You got to admit, this was a strong show. This is a good show. All right. Tell your friends about it. If you're interested in kids in comedy yourself, if you are a kid who's looking for a place to figure out where to do this stuff, hit up kidsincomedy.com and you can sign up for a session. I know that we're definitely have room for our summer session, which we do 5 days a week for 6 consecutive weeks. That's broken down into 3 sessions, 2-hour classes. We are doing them on Zoom. So you can do them safely from your home. We did it last summer and it was a lot of fun. It worked out and you can do it with us this summer. So please hit up kidsincomedy.com for that sort of thing. I want to say thank you to a whole bunch of people. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to all the performers you saw here today. They were so great all session. Worked so hard on this material with a million other things going on, not to mention like their school years are ending and they have to come to class with new material here every week. And they managed to, and they knocked it out of the park. So thank you so much. They're so funny. They're so great. They're so nice. I want to say thank you to my assistant, Emma, who is really a co-teacher here, works on all of the material with me and all of the kids. She's incredible. She's amazing. She's hilarious. And I want to say thank you to Stu and Joanne. These are 2 directors of the Kids in Comedy program, and they are watching from their homes right now. And I'm sure they are very proud of these kids as well. And then thank you for tuning in or supporting the comedian that you know or are related to. Make sure you check our YouTube because we post clips and all that sort of fun stuff. And they're always kid-friendly stuff, so you can kind of share them around to younger people who are interested in stand-up. And I also want to say thank you to Matt, who's our technical director. Without Matt, we wouldn't be able to put this thing onto YouTube. So thank you so much, Matt. And that's it for us. So what we are going to do, because the stream takes a while to go away, we are just going to wave painfully goodbye until we actually leave, until we meet again, which if your kid is in this class, probably would be about 9 weeks from now. So see you then. This lighting's harsh lighting. All I'm doing is looking at myself. Well, better. It's hot in